All right, good morning, everyone. This is Ashley Becerra with the Office of Charter Schools. I'm going to take roll before we get started. I know we have some remote attendees. Terry Stoops.
Here.
John Eldridge.
Here.
Bruce Friend.
Here.
Rita Hare. Lynn Kroger.
Here.
Hilda Parlay.
Present.
Shelley Bullard. Cheryl Turner.
Here.
Todd Godby. Eric Sanchez. Thank you. All right, so we have a quorum, and if you are good to start, Chair Turner.
Okay, good morning. Ms. Kroger, could you please lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Mission statement. I see the ethics statement. We'll start with that, okay? The ethics statement for the Charter School Advisory Board. Board members are reminded that it is our duty to avoid conflicts of interest and the appearance of conflicts of interest as we handle the work of the advisory board. Does any member of the advisory board know of any conflict of interest or any appearance of conflict with respect to any matters coming before us in this meeting? If so, please state them for the record. I will need to recuse from Sugar Creek amendment request and from Go Big application and interview. Any others? If during the course of the meeting you become aware of an actual or apparent conflict of interest, please bring this matter to the attention of the chair. It will then be your duty to abstain from participating in discussion and on the matter and from voting on the matter. Mission statement of the Charter School Advisory Board. The Charter School Advisory Board works to ensure the existence of high-quality charter schools in North Carolina. We now need to approve we need to approve the agenda first. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve today's agenda.
I'll second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Next, we need to approve the minutes from our regular meeting in January. Are there any changes to the minutes? Can I get a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the January 22 board meeting minutes.
It's been properly moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, so I guess we are ready for the presentations.
We do the 26th.
Ms. Turner, before we start, I'd like to introduce Jeremy White, who is the current Teacher of the Year. As we know, the Teacher of the Year serves as an advisor to the Charter School Advisory Board. Jeremy's been able to join us a few times remotely. This is the first time he's been in person. Jeremy teaches at Westlake Academy in Denver, North Carolina. Very interesting and great teacher. We're just happy to have him at the table with us.
Welcome.
Morning.
Good morning, CSEB. It's my honor. I started kind of this process with professional development last year in meeting Mr. White and just being inspired by how incredible an educator he is. And so I'm here this morning to present what I consider to be like the highlight of my work with the Office of Charter Schools, and we're going to start with our teachers. This year we had the honor of interviewing 12 really amazing finalists, just incredible people from all over the state for the Burroughs Welcome Teacher of the Year. And we narrowed it down to 2 people, and we fought a little bit and we cried a little bit more in having to be able to only pick one of these people, and just being so inspired by the other finalist, Amber Need. I think she's here, maybe? Yep, can you come up, please? Miss Need is the agricultural teacher and so much more than that. That diminishes really who she is. After her interviews and listening to her parents and students talk about her, I just named her the mayor of Tarboro. But just an incredible educator. And I begged Dave, I said it would be such an injustice to not let her come and just say a little bit about the work she does, because I think she's revolutionized agriculture and that what that sector means for our kids in Charterville. So.
Not quite sure how much to say, but my name is Amber Need. I am in my 6th year teaching overall, my 4th year at a charter school, and I've loved it ever since I've made the switch from regular public to charter. And it's been a joy to teach agriculture at Northeast Carolina Prep in Tarboro. It's fitting that this is CTE month, and I represent a piece of CTE, and I can't wait to share with you just a little bit of information about agriculture education specifically in North Carolina. We have the 7th largest, we are the 7th state in the top 10 with the largest FFA program in our state, and FFA is the CTSO, or the Career Tech Student Organization associated with agriculture education. There are about 24,000 kids across our state involved in FFA, but even bigger than that, we have about 74,000 kids in North Carolina involved in agriculture education, which is, to me as an agriculturalist, is very exciting. Agriculture is the #1 industry in our state. It's crucial that we are teaching agriculture to our kids, not only to encourage them to get involved in a workforce that is not going to disappear in North Carolina, but to also teach them where their food is coming from, how to better understand marketing and markets, and how their food is presented to them in the grocery stores, and where their food is coming from as far as like other countries, within North Carolina, within the United States, etc. It's very important for everyone to understand that. In addition to teaching my kids about ag, I am the FFA advisor, so I have the privilege to work with about 120 students from my charter school that are in my FFA program. I say it's my program, it's not. It is a student-led program, so I have a team of officers. I have 9 youth individuals that take control. I help guide them and teach them what they need to do to lead their peers. And this past year, we were recognized from National FFA as a 3-star National FFA chapter, which is the highest honor that we can get in the National FFA program. So without my students and my parents, and I'm happy that some of you involved in the committee were able to hear the stories from my parents and my students and my colleagues, but the impact has been major at our school in our tiny little town of Tarboro, and I'm just happy to be here to share that story with you guys, so thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations.
And so just the last thing, in both of these wonderful young people, educators, there were stories about how they take their people outside of just the classroom to educate. And Ms. Need had a couple of former students that participated in the interview. And one of them said, in 9th grade, I just mentioned that I loved alpacas. And before I graduated, I was sitting out of state on an alpaca farm, and that's my passion now. And another young lady who was just disinterested in school talked about how she wanted to grow up and do something with horses. And she was doing her interview from Kentucky, where she's in school on one of the largest horse farms in the United States, doing what she loves, and all because her teacher saw enough to take her and have that experience. And so our Burroughs Welcome 2022 Teacher of the Year is Mr. William Keegan Stowers, if he would please come up, affectionately known by all as Profe from Roxborough Community School. And I don't think there was a dry eye on the committee when some of his young people finished just talking about how he has truly transformed their lives. When you get a science teacher that's been in it for 20 plus years say, he is my lighthouse and he inspires me to do different for kids, it just says to the quality of educator he is. So Mr. Stowers.
Hi there, my name is Keegan Stores. My kids do know me as Profe. I teach Spanish at Roxborough Community School in Roxborough, North Carolina. Just a little bit about myself. One of my crowning achievements at our school is I run the study abroad program. Every year we take somewhere between 4 and 16 students over to Spain to really apply what they know about Spanish language and culture. I teach everything from Spanish 1 to AP Spanish there. I serve on the ESOL team. I do translation or interpretation for the school. And just our small town, in the time that I've been there, 6 years now, we've seen the Hispanic population absolutely explode, and the need for more and more Spanish speakers do the same. And so it's absolutely my pleasure to teach the students of Roxborough Community School to better their Spanish and to understand culture. One of my main focuses at my school is collaboration. And so I collaborate with the dance teacher doing Hispanic dance, with the cafeteria staff to do cooking, with the music staff at our school to do Hispanic music, and also coordinate the musicals for our school. And so I see so much opportunity in our state with all the wonderful educators that we have for collaboration, cross-cultural collaboration and cross-teacher collaboration within our schools. And thank you so much to everybody on the Office of Charter School staff for the interviews, for the selection process. And a huge thank you to Ashley Bailey, who is the 2020 Boroughs Welcome Fund Charter School Teacher of the Year, because she's also from Roxborough Community School, and she's been an unbelievable support for me as well. So thank you to everybody.
Just some really absolutely amazing educators, and I think, in the charter world, it's just so important that people recognize and just see the incredible stuff they do. They just wear so many hats that sometimes traditional folks don't have to, so really inspired by that group. And Mr. Machado and Ashley were great enough to tell me to invite them to stay for lunch today, so they'll be here to join you guys to talk and spend some time. Last thing, and not the least of all, is also had the opportunity this year through the efforts of Mr. Machado, who's since day one pushed since I walk in here, how do we get recognition for our principals to be able to participate in the North Carolina Teacher of the Year program with Wells Fargo. And after 2 years of really difficult conversations, we were invited to participate this year. And so again, ended up with 12 really incredible finalists that we narrowed down to 4 people. All of them, I think, are here this morning, and just want to introduce them, just say really quickly about them. But we have Miss Alicia Reel from Island Montessori, if you please stand. It's Miss Reel, just absolutely incredible principal, doing amazing stuff. Dr. Charles Fuller from Envision Science Academy. And Mr. Neely Witt from Falls Lake Academy. And our 2022 Wells Fargo Principal of the Year is Miss Maria Mills from Carolina Charter Academy. And so I have certificates from Wells Fargo for them that will that we'll give them, and Dave and Mr. Senders from Charter One has been so gracious through all of these processes to not just make an acknowledgement, but to give them an honorarium, and so they'll get that, and we'll, I guess, do a picture at that break, maybe do it at break or whatever. But Ms. Mills will,
If you wish.
come, please.
Yes, it is.
I suppose it's
Yes, it is.
wakes you up on a Monday for sure. I just am incredibly blessed as I was thinking of what I had written yesterday and what I wanted to say today, and how I've been able to speak to this honor to, all of my stakeholders at the school, from my students who are so excited. Ms. Mills, you're the principal of the year? I was like, yeah, I am. You're number one. My little kindergarten classes were telling me I was number one. I was like, that's really, wow, I am. That's awesome. And then being able to really chat with my my people, my teachers who, are with us through COVID, and we're in our 3rd year, and sometimes it's really our 1st year. We had COVID, and then COVID, and me. So I'm just incredibly blessed and grateful, and I continue to speak with humility, and then I think to myself, well, if I'm being humble, I shouldn't say I'm humble, but I am. My wonderful teachers are the only reason I'm here. The ones that know that we have an incredible path of
resistance and competition and consistently trying to remember that we're there for the kids. You know, our babies are the reason we're there, and they want to choose us. So Harnett County, Wake County, and Johnston County, we're in this wonderful little location that I get to provide a choice, a K-8, a pretty building, but also some wonderful curriculum and teachers who are committed. I have all of my teachers bring their kids to the school too. And that just, you know, balances it out. They're there for their students in front of them and then to make sure that we are number one. So I hope that I can be that trendsetter by being number one this year and that you'll just keep hearing about us. So thank you very much, guys, for this wonderful honor.
And thank you so much. If we could give all of our amazing educators just one more round of applause. Thank you so much.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning. Bonjour.
So I'm Greg Senders with Charter One, and it's our honor to sponsor the Principal of the Year for the second year in a row. So I'd like to introduce the others on the team that are here with us. Our Southeast Division President, Michael Way. Our Executive Assistant, Michaela Moore. And the Dean of Charter Schools in North Carolina, I guess next to Mr. Machado, is Joe Mamoni. You want to come up and present the checks to the, do you want to do it up front or back here?
No, you can do it right here, then we'll come up and take a picture.
Okay. So Alicia.
Did you take your mask off?
Thank you.
Dr. Fuller.
All right.
I'll just say,
Go way back.
I'm glad Dr. Fuller had come up and accept this from us. Michaela, we recruited from Envision Charter. So,
I'll get y'all back for that one day.
And he and I also have a history.
congratulations.
Congratulations, Charles.
Neely Witt.
All righty.
Congratulations. And the Principal of the Year, Maria Mills. Hey, good to see you.
Thank you.
Thanks again, and congratulations to all the finalists and to Maria as the Principal of the Year. And Dr. Stoops, you had a little bit to do with the start of Carolina Charter. I put a little blood, sweat, and tears into it. So it's great that it's in good hands with a great leader. Thank you.
Can we get a picture of, let's start with the Teachers of the Year with the board members up front. Jeremy.
Oh, I guess it is.
You got a camera? Not sure this one's coming up.
It's quiet around here, but you must get We're gonna get stuck in the Scots in London.
Okay. And then, principals of the year? Charlie? Come on up, Joe. It's always good to have you back in the room.
I'm good.
No, I'm sure. What's
Here we go, guys. Thank you.
Are we ready, Ashley?
Yes, 1 second.
I just want to congratulate all of the honorees and just say that they absolutely embody the mission of the Charter School Advisory Board. We appreciate them.
Did they be a checks?
This happened last time too. But you guys can see it on there, so. All right, that was wonderful.
Yes, it was. Revitalizing.
So you guys can hopefully see here at the TV or on your screens, we're gonna move into amendments. The first amendment we have today is the Tiller School, and they are bringing a mission to change their, to amend their mission and vision. They began operation in 1998, so one of our first charter applications, which at the time was much different than the charter applications you see now, and really didn't even have a clear section for like a very clear mission statement. But they did have a mission statement. They had a vision, and they have decided, actually a couple years ago, they started working on thinking about how to revise their mission and vision to better align with what they were doing now. And in their school, they serve K to 5th grade in Beaufort. And their original mission was the Tiller School is dedicated to providing an educational community where self-motivated, lifelong learners develop. And they engaged all stakeholders and did some PD in trying to develop a mission that really showcased what their core values and what they're aiming to do with their students. So the new mission is Tiller School is dedicated to fostering creativity, confidence, and enthusiasm for learning through a responsive academic and social curriculum. They also had a longer vision statement, which was, we envision Tiller School as a community that engages in rigorous academic, intellectual, and aesthetic exploration and social responsibility. And now their vision statement is much simpler, which is to create navigators for life. Are there any questions?
I have a question about what they mean by social curriculum.
I think Kelly Riley is actually on the line. Kelly, do you want to speak to that for a second? You might be mute, Kelly.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, excellent. It's a pleasure to be here this morning. And if I may do so, Ashley, I apologize, but I do want to back up because I'm noticing within the wording that you have showing on the screen, we are missing two very important pieces for our new mission. And so I'm referring back to the letter that I submitted. So if I may take just a moment to read, the full new mission is Tiller Charter School is dedicated to fostering creativity, confidence, and enthusiasm for learning through arts integration, family engagement, and a responsive academic and social curriculum. Those are our three pillars of our school: the arts integration piece, the family engagement piece, and of course, the responsive piece. And those have been with us, the grassroots founding beliefs of our school since our inception. And they hold just as true today. What we wanted to do is a tremendous amount of work to ensure that we're using the exact language that promotes these three pillars for our mission. And I'm so excited that I was asked about the responsive social curriculum. Tiller School prides itself on being unique within our county because we are a responsive classroom school. We practice the philosophy and approach to discipline and learning in that we give a tremendous amount of time and energy to the development of our children socially, so that our academics will come. We believe that when we take the time to ensure that our students have a safe and engaging learning environment through growing them socially, that we can go so deep in our academics. Therefore, Tiller School, we cater a schedule that allows for every single morning our children do a morning meeting where every child is taught that they are a valued part of our learning community. We also have our schedules done in such a way to provide a deep amount or a tremendous amount of differentiation. And all of our teachers, our administration, and even our teacher assistants that are dedicated in all of our classrooms, we complete responsive classroom training yearly. One of the other additional huge focuses is our teacher language. If you were to walk onto our campus, you'll see that we're very calm in the way that we respond with our students. And we do a great deal of student conferencing on behavior and expectations. The last piece I'd like to share is that our social curriculum, the acronym is CARES: cooperation, assertion, responsibility, empathy, and self-control. That social curriculum is in everything that we do, in the way that we present learning opportunities and lessons with our children. Our children tell us as administrators and teachers and remind us to use our CARES. And we also train our families on it as well. I hope I've been able to answer some of your questions.
Thank you, Kelly.
Okay, are there any other questions? Can I get a motion?
This is Bruce Friend. I'll make a motion that we accept the Tiller Charter School's revised mission and vision statement.
I'll second that.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Do we need to do roll call on this, Ashley?
I'll do it just to be safe.
Okay.
I think some more people have joined us online. Terry Stoops.
Aye.
John Eldridge.
Aye.
Bruce Friend.
Aye.
Lynn Kroger.
Aye.
Hilda Parlay.
Approves.
Shelley Bowler. Cheryl Turner.
Aye.
Todd Godby.
Aye.
Eric Sanchez.
Aye.
All right, thanks. All right, we have two weighted lottery requests today. So the first one is Sugar Creek, so Cheryl is recused from this. Sugar Creek has been operating for 23 years, K-12 in Charlotte, serving almost 1,700 students. They have a specific mission to serve economically disadvantaged students and currently have 92% economically disadvantaged students. So in looking at their goals under NC Access, they have, their goal is actually to increase the number of the subgroup for English language learners, their ESL population. And over the last 4 years, they've increased that from 3 to 9%, and their goal now is to increase it to 15% over the next 5 years. In their materials, they've outlined programming, including additional staffing, busing, like bus routes that target those areas of the community, and outreach, all aimed at supporting their ESL population.
I'd like to make a motion to accept Sugar Creek's weighted lottery request.
I'll second. Good.
Okay, John. Any other comments?
Any discussion? Okay, we can do a vote.
Okay. Terry Stoops,
Aye.
John Elridge,
Aye.
Bruce Friend,
Aye.
Lynn Kroger,
Aye.
Hilda Parlay,
Approves.
Cheryl Turner.
Recuse.
Oh, sorry about that. Todd Godby
Aye.
and Eric Sanchez.
Aye.
All right. Okay, we have one more weighted lottery. This is Thomas Jefferson Classical Academy. They are also in their 23rd year of operation, serving close to 1,300 students, K-12 in Rutherford County. And they currently have 19% economically disadvantaged students, and they have set a goal of 38% by the 2025 school year. They also outline expansion of services within their materials, including bus routes, busing in general, community outreach, and a new staffing position, a student success coordinator position. And they have worked with our office, just like all weighted lottery requests, to ensure that their policies and the materials are aligned with guidance and requirements.
Any questions? Hearing none, can I get a motion?
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the Thomas Jefferson Classical Academy weighted lottery request.
I second that.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Ashley, could you take a roll call, please?
Terry Stoops,
Aye.
John Eldridge,
Aye.
Bruce Friend,
Aye.
Lynn Kroger,
Aye.
Hilda Parlay,
Approves.
Cheryl Turner,
Aye.
Todd Godby,
Aye.
and Eric Sanchez.
Aye.
All right. So those will all go to state board next month, if anyone is listening from those schools, and I will keep you posted on those.
Thank you, Ash.
Okay, so I guess we're ready for Melanie now?
Do we have anyone from Nolanta here?
I'm sorry?
Do we have representatives from Nolanta here?
Yolanda.
Oh, yeah, we're a little early, huh?
Were they going to be here in person, or were they calling in?
I think they're coming in person. I'm going to do the introduction, and we can see if they arrive at that time. Okay, sorry, let's get a look on this one.
No problem. Good morning.
Good morning.
So today we'll conclude our final applications for the 2021 cycle. The 3 applicants that we'll hear from today are all second round. We have a condensed process as it relates to those second round applicant boards. It's condensed to about 45 to 50 minutes. CSAB has received responses back to all of the questions that were posed. So those are and have been posted to eBoard. So essentially, your line of questioning will, correlate with those responses and whether or not you feel that there are additional items that need to be discussed regarding those second round applicants. Nolanda, Go Big, and Honor Prep are the 3 schools that we'll hear from today. Nolanda, I can go ahead and quickly recap their demographics. They are proposed for opening in Morrisville, North Carolina, in Wake County, in year 1, serving grades K2 with 146 students. By year 5, they are serving grades K to 6 with 346 students. And then at capacity, they will service grades kindergarten and through grade 8 with 446 students. Nolanda Academy will not participate in the National School Lunch Program. They will provide reduced pricing and local vendors for catered lunch. They will use a bus service and an online carpool system to provide transportation to their students. Nolanda does propose utilizing the weighted lottery. They do not have a facility at the moment. They're slated for open though in 27560, which is the greater Morrisville area. There was an LEA impact submitted by Wake County that has also been posted on eBoard, and they are not repeat applicants. Will not use an EMO or a CMO, although application assistance was provided by consultancy, and then their application was complete at the time of submission. Their second round responses are posted on eBoard. Generally, those questions related to what Nolanda Academy considers a holistic approach to education, where they are integrating mindfulness throughout their instructional day for the benefit of social emotional wellness of students and academic performance. So those responses for mindfulness have been provided. There were questions related to the diversity of their board and the student body for which they serve. Those responses have been provided. Also, there were questions about their foreign language offerings, as well as more detail about the STEM focus that they pose to use. So all of those questions are there for your review. We can allow Nolanda the opportunity to arrive, but that's essentially it. Stop there.
Okay.
Any questions?
Are they coming in person, Ashley, or are they going to be online?
They are coming in person.
Okay, and they were told 10:15?
Correct. And to
All
arrive,
right, and we asked them to hear how much in advance?
30 minutes early.
Okay, well then let's take a break till 9:45.
Sounds good. No.
One thing that we did not address, this is Melanie Rackley, Office of Charter School, the map, and just, we've already introduced, Nalanda and kind of gone through your snapshot details, so, as you were traveling in. But just really quickly, given their zip code, again, in Morrisville, we've done like a radius map. Close to 24 schools within that particular zip code of note. Looks like Cardinal Charter Academy, and let's see, Sterling Montessori Academy, and then TMSA are the charters within that particular 6-mile radius there. But again, that map has been uploaded to eBoard. Prior to your entrance, we've already kind of gone back through your introduction. You all will be able to make a quick opening statement. We have Dr. Palavaram as the board chair here for Nalanda Academy. All of your second round responses have been loaded to eBoard. CSAB has them, and so the line of questioning will relate to those items that were submitted. Again, so it's a condensed process. If you all will come up, Dr. Palavaram, if you'll come up, make your quick introduction, and we'll begin your questioning, okay?
Good morning,
Morning.
board members. It's very nice to be here again this morning. The Nalanda Board thanks the Charter School Advisory Board for the opportunity once again to be here and respond to the very well thought questions you had for us. We see these questions as a great opportunity to bring clarity to our concept and vision. Nalanda believes in diversity of our student body, and as mentioned in our written responses, we are committed to make every effort to reach out to all sections of our community in the Wake County region, including educationally disadvantaged students and ethnically and racially diverse families, to educate them about our unique offerings at Nalanda. We believe in being inclusive, being an inclusive school, bringing in people from all walks of life, intending to educate our students and empower them to become good citizens who will do good work for our nation and be an asset to their communities. As mentioned in our written response, our board already has great diversity in capacity and occupational backgrounds, including 3 board members from the world of education. However, we are committed to notch it up and bring more skill and racial diversity as we move forward. A Caucasian female North Carolina attorney, for example, joined our founding board but had to be dropped at the last moment as her background checks did not come in time before the application was submitted to CSAB. She is eagerly waiting to return to our board and contribute in establishing Nalanda Academy in the Wake County region. Nalanda will have a focus on mindfulness, teaching of foreign languages, and STEM. We plan to integrate these into daily functioning of our school. We will educate our prospective stakeholders that mindfulness is a means to an end. It's a tool which will help children to be present in the moment. It's a research-based scientific approach that helps children focus and concentrate better, ultimately positively impacting academic achievement. A small example of mindfulness being integrated into the system will be a 1 to 2 minute breathing and calming activity before start of a new period. STEM will be integrated across disciplines as mentioned in detail in our written response to your questions. Our ultimate goal is to educate students well in all core subjects, including reading, math, science, social studies, which we will achieve by good teaching and using tools that we mentioned above. In our written response, we clarified a misconception that we plan to spend 3 times as much time on mindfulness as science. That was not a factually correct understanding, and we brought some clarity in our written response to that. We are only allocating 25 to 30 minutes to mindfulness in our schedule on a daily basis. Heavy emphasis on mindfulness does not translate into much time given exclusively to teaching of mindfulness, but to integrate into the culture of our school in such a way that it impacts students and staff positively, ultimately helping with mental health and high academic achievement for our students. We have also clarified in our written response the rationale behind offering foreign languages. We are not limited to only Hindi or Sanskrit, but will offer other languages like Spanish. These languages will be offered as electives based on the choice of incoming students. Students deserve an opportunity to learn and grow in another language of their choice, and we want to offer them this opportunity. As a public charter school, we want to do what charter schools were originally intended to do from the very beginning, and that is to bring high quality education to our students through innovation and out-of-the-box thinking. This is one reason that so many charter schools in our state look so different in how they approach academics. And so many of them are very successful in serving their students and communities in achieving academic excellence. Nalanda will utilize the North Carolina Standard Course of Study in delivering high quality and engaging lessons that will prepare our students for the EOGs and other state assessments. We will ensure that our students are college and career ready and that they do well on state exams. If given an opportunity, we intend to be one of such charter schools which will bring great value to the world of education in our state. We have been also assured support by Sally B. Howard administration to help us with their experience in academic and operational excellence and closing the achievement gap. A letter of support, which is with me right now, can be provided as requested. We want to once again thank the board for this opportunity to be here and express to you our vision and mission in great clarity. We'll be glad to answer any more questions you have at this time. Thank you so much.
Thank you. This is our chance to ask any other questions we may have. Does anybody have any additional questions?
Madam Chair, I would still like more clarity regarding whether the kids will be prepared to take the end of grade and end of course tests. I know in the questions it said that they would not offer those tests, and then the last sentence in that area of that particular question said that they would. And the gentleman mentioned this morning that they will. So I'm still a little confused about whether mindfulness will not take over the preparation for academic success. I need more clarity and convincing, if you will.
Okay. Any other?
I did have a question about foreign languages, not to harp on that as much, but it says that multiple foreign languages will be offered. I was just wondering how many foreign languages the school wanted to offer in its initial opening. There were 4 mentioned, but the response says multiple, and I was just curious to get some specificity about how many foreign languages you were thinking of offering when you first opened, and whether you would have the staffing capability to be able to offer that many.
I saw much more clarity on STEM and much more specificity that they really do have a STEM program planned, even though it was not indicated in the app. On the issue of how much time is being spent on mindfulness, they're saying, well, it's only 30 minutes. And in one question it did say that, but in another one it said 25 minutes in PE and then 30 minutes of mindfulness. So I still have some questions around how much time is actually being spent daily on mindfulness.
Yeah, Cheryl, that was
any other question? That was
one of my questions. Well, because I look at go back to the app, it says 10:45 to 11:10 is PE. So that's 25 minutes. And then there's another followed by 30 minutes, or 20 minutes, excuse me, of mindfulness. But in the app, it didn't seem that added up the same. I'm still left wanting more in terms of knowing about the real demand for the school. I'm the one who asked the follow-up questions about who took these surveys. I still don't feel I got a clear answer on that. As a matter of fact, in the one app, or in the application, it actually says that they could provide upon request the names and email addresses of who participated in the Zoom meetings, and then their second round response said that they couldn't provide that. So why does the application say you would, and then their second round response say they wouldn't? Yeah, I'm still really interested to know just who this is being marketed to, and did they have a real diverse number of folks participating in the survey and to prove demand for the school?
They listed the demographics of the people who took the survey. My concern is that the survey was given at a yoga school, and so that would mean that the people who took the survey already know about mindfulness. Like, that's a specific set of people. Does that translate to the general population?
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Yeah.
Any other questions? Okay, then would somebody from the school like to address any of those?
So Chair Turner, they're just deliberating among their board for a moment to gather their response. So
that's fine.
Okay,
that's fine. Thanks for being my eyes. Okay, we only have 25 minutes for this period of time.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm going to address your question, ma'am, on preparing our students for the EOG. As a school, it is absolutely our goal, as mentioned, to teach the standard course of study and also participate in all state-mandated assessments, including EOGs, BOGs, and access testing and all of that. And so, how does mindfulness play into that? Well, mindfulness is a practice that helps develop child's attention, which improves focus and reduces distraction, leading to better quality of academic work and enhances overall academic performance. So the key with integrating mindfulness is exactly that, to help our kids be present more, stay more focused, get less distracted, so that instruction, we know as educators, we know a lot of time is lost during that, especially if there's not good classroom management. But ultimately, this helps with students staying engaged, students staying focused. We're giving them that inner ability to be able to regulate themselves and to stay on course. And obviously, once we have that, if students are able to self-regulate, the instructor has more time to provide quality and detailed lessons, which ultimately will lead to our students being better prepared for the EOGs and whatever state-mandated test they're on.
Thank you.
So, thank you, CISA, for letting us respond to your follow-up questions. You asked a question about foreign languages, how many foreign languages we will be offering. So let me tell you some insight of our ideas. We would like to offer as many as foreign languages possible based on the choice of the students. We included 4 of them in our initial survey, and those 4 were Latin, Spanish, Hindi, Sanskrit, but we will redo our survey at later point. In the early years, we may be able to offer maybe just 2 foreign languages as elective, based on the budgetary constant, but later on, we would like to expand this number of electives as much as our budgets will allow. You also asked a question about the survey and demographics and what was the survey, how it was delivered, and especially one question was towards the Zoom meeting survey. My friend Ms. Joyce will respond to that question a little bit more in detail, but let me give you some demographic breakup that we had from the respondents, especially in Zoom meeting. There were 84 participants, and out of that, 81 were positive, supporting our vision. And the demographic breakup for those participants was 53%, 53, that is 54% white, 16, that is 19% Hispanic, 20, that is about 21% Asian, and 3 African American. So, and on other 2 surveys, we did not collect demographic information or more private information from the respondents, so we do not have that information up ready. But we will repeat this survey again with more specific question, and we'll gather the information on that.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for giving us this opportunity.
Can you speak up, please, or maybe lower the microphone? Thank you.
Better? Better?
Yeah, just keep. Well, you got to keep talking so we know.
Okay. Will mindfulness take over academic success? It will not. It will actually help the children perform to the best of their ability. Because the time we're spending on actually making them understand the whys and hows of mindfulness is what is going to be very, very important. And that's what we're going to be doing in that 25, 30 minutes that we'll be giving the children. They learn the whys is mindfulness important? How are you going to be applying this? In what way? If it's specific to attention, if it's specific to just learning how to be grateful, if it is about learning to just calm the mind, calm the distractions. How are we going to learn this? Why is it necessary? So those will be the key questions the children will be taught during their class. And this will only be applied if required in the other classes. So the 25, 30 minutes on the mindfulness depends on whether it's an elementary or a middle school. I think we are saying we will have about 23 children in kindergarten, right? So you could just imagine having to manage such little ones. I think a lot of time would go initially in just coordinating the activities and bringing in games, bringing in activities to help them understand the concept itself. And then the other question I think was on the survey itself. We have a list of the names, the email addresses. I would be happy to pass it on. It's just that we cannot make that information public. That's my only request. Yes, these participants are familiar with yoga, they are familiar with mindfulness. However, I did have some who did not want to participate. And even when we have to conduct a survey, I think we would do it after giving them an initial idea of what yoga is, of what mindfulness is, and then take their input on whether they're still interested in the program or not. Any follow-up questions?
How do you take a teacher who has no understanding of mindfulness at all and train them to teach mindfulness? If you hired me as a sixth grade teacher at your school, and I have no background in mindfulness, how are you preparing me to lead that with students?
So we will have a mindfulness and a yoga coach who would be teaching the children separately, and they won't be training the teachers to teach the children. They would only be educating the teachers on how mindfulness works. So it's really conducting a 6-week session, maybe in the beginning of the year or the end of the year, to bring an awareness to the teachers about how this works. And probably introduce maybe a 5-minute guided meditation every morning when the teachers come in or when they are on a break, to get them to really understand how this works.
I guess, again, just to be clear, I'm still struggling with the demand, to know what the demand really is. I mean, mindfulness, which I will readily admit I am not as familiar with as you, but seems to be an integral part of and tied to yoga. So if you survey, if to prove demand, you're surveying people who already participate in yoga, they're probably going to say, yes, a school of mindfulness would be of interest to me. If I were going to open up a school that focused on karate, and I only surveyed parents who send their kids to karate school, well, yeah, the demand's going to show that parents want this. That's where I'm trying to dig into the greater demand and interest level.
So like,
and that's why my question is about who did you go to, or how did they even know that these surveys were available? And in your application, it does clearly state you would provide the information about who took. I mean, I'm looking at it right here.
We could. Do you have the printout of the names?
So let me take that question. Good morning.
Good morning.
Sir, and good morning, everybody here. Yes, that's a very genuine, very concerning question for all of us. In fact, when we were starting the whole concept of this school and how to bring it to even to reminding members of the board, and as well as about how we're going to probably bring that piece of this mission and vision and this aspect of how to bringing this mindfulness to the first the state officials and as well as to the wider audience. That was a big challenging. There was a lot of discussions happened over the course of time. And we are very well aware that this is going to be an evolving process. Initially, yes, as you all said, that it is going to be something that it's all in kind of piecemeal thing. 25 to 30% of the people in our country here, they practice some form of yoga or meditation or all those things. In fact, that research is, that percentage of the population is growing up more and more. Somewhere or the other, most of them are familiar with that. But how do you bring that kind of aspect, the tool, into the real academic world and see how it is? Because we have seen the benefit of this, tuning the mind and bodies actually from the beginning of their the life. It has given a lot of benefit growing up as a human and being a human and achieving excellence in all parameters of their life. So when we have seen that in many studies and all that, especially me being a physician and having other colleagues in the academics and all that, we were contemplating this idea and going into that and see how do you bring that into the mainstream so that we actually not only giving the material education to the child, but we also give this, we develop the core values and trying to focus the faculties of the mind and body in such a way that whatever you are teaching, it gets imbibed into that. So because most of the times I see so many people, if you have to write a prescription for an ADD, it makes me feel so bad about it actually. It has its own downward effects when they reach their 50s and 60s after using this stimulants and all those things. So at the end of the day, when there is something that we can always try to see that get the attention of the child when they're coming, spending their time and money, and as well as the families and the parents are spending, we thought that probably making the best use of the time what the child is spending there, the family is spending there, and the teachers what they're spending to educate the children to come up and make a beautiful citizens, that should be utilized every second, every minute has to be taken care. So if there's any means to make it happen, that definitely we thought that we should bring it to the mainstream and trying to request the educators and be part of it and see how it is going to go. We are very confident that this, given a chance, we should be able to probably take this to the mainstream. Yes, there's a learning curve. We're going to probably, we have a plan in place. We're going to probably go through the plan and we're going to make sure that it all gets done at the end. And yes, it's going to take a few years to really to evolve and see the whole picture of that. But we are very confident on that. Thank you.
One other question, if I may. Remind me, I think we may have addressed this in the first interview, why the decision to be case 6?
Pardon me?
Is your plan to actually grow out of middle school, or because that seems like if it's not, that's a interesting transition year to run your school through?
Why not in the middle school starting? I'm sorry, if I may.
If I got your question correct, you're asking why this is K to 6, not K to 8?
Or K through 5.
Or K to 5. No, this is K to 8. This is what we have written in our application. And for some reason it is showing here this is maybe just 5-year plan. But the very school is going to be K to 8.
Okay, thank you.
6, 7 years.
So where are we for time?
Eric has a question.
Ma'am?
Oh, go ahead, Eric.
The staff recruitment part, I know we talked about it a little bit. I just was looking through the original application, saw the salary levels are modest, the PD is modest, is low, not modest, low. And you're recruiting for STEM, languages, mindfulness, yoga, like, it just feels very specific, very targeted, with not, we're trying to catch a wide variety or array of talents and specialties. How do you guys propose to do that? And where are you thinking you're going to find this type of very, very specific staff?
So I think that's a great question. I think I can go back to my own experience at Sally B. So we did something called arts integration. And when I was a classroom teacher teaching economics to my middle school students, I was taught how to do arts integration. We plan to have PD at our own school, taking help from other existing schools who are doing great in something, for example, Sally B. Howard. Professional development is going to be an integral part of our operations, just like we have at Sally B. And the good thing is right now, for the last many years, we do not necessarily need outside resources. We do not send people out to PDs, but we are building capacity within our building where there are leaders within the building who coach other teachers. So when you talk about how will you bring such a wide array, I think the idea is that we'll be coaching and helping our teachers in becoming familiar with the very basic concept of mindfulness. It is not something that is a philosophy, it is just a scientific approach. Like I gave an example, even a 1 to 2 minute breathing exercise. When we do some PD sessions at Sally B, we take a 2-minute breathing exercise. People say we feel calm. Let me get into the PD. The idea is to educate and empower all of our teachers in this very basic approach of mindfulness where they can then implement it in their classrooms And when new staff comes in, there'll be leaders within the teacher fraternity who will then be coaching and preparing the next group of teachers. So it's a build capacity model that we're intending to do.
Maybe I have your history of Sally B wrong, but the impression I had was that your original founder was the driving piece of that. Do you guys, who's going to, where's this starting from? Have you hired a leader? Is there somebody on the board who's going to be the one to bring that? Or are you hoping that you're going to hire a leader that has all the things you wrote in this charter, who's then going to be the one to be who she was for Sally B?
Yeah, so we do plan to hire somebody who will believe in this mission. At the same time, the board is very committed to provide the time and resources to work side by side with anybody who comes on board and implements this mission on the ground. There's nobody on the board who will be taking the executive director or principal's position, but we are very confident there are people out there who are looking forward to such opportunities and do something unique, because this is unique. This is unique by itself. And just like anything else, things are evolving. I mean, for example, the 25-minute, 30-minute mindfulness. We all know on the ground, even at an existing school like Sally B, 25 years, I mean, I prepared the yearly master schedule. Once I prepare it, it goes to my leadership team and they look at it, and there are revisions made before it gets fully implemented on the ground in the summer. Some things will evolve. But the basic idea is mindfulness is not something that is going to overshadow anything. It is only going to augment the teaching process and learning process at the school. It's only going to help it. It's 25, 30 minutes in a given day. The core academics is why any school would exist, why we want to exist. But the idea is we want to approach academics in a way that students can learn, perform better, while we empower them through being present, not being stressed out. We all understand as educators that mental health issues is a challenge for all of us. We see students going through that on a daily basis. So what we are trying to do is bring an approach which we think can be proactive versus reactive. So you have a child who comes to you. There are many steps involved in how do you deal with that child. In-school suspension, out-of-school suspension, guidance counselor, clinical therapist. There are many steps, but they're all responding to a problem already existing. We are trying to bring an approach where we will make our earnest effort to prevent those problems from happening, first of all. If we can be successful in bringing our children to a place where they may not have those kind of issues, we may not need remedial services at a later stage, that may be a blessing. That is the whole concept behind this mindfulness. It is not teaching yoga, it is not teaching something Eastern philosophy, it is bringing a science-based approach to the classroom. And it is being done in some places, but not at a level that we are envisioning it to be. How will it roll out on the ground? Time will tell. But we are confident that what we are trying to do for these children will be successful. At the same time, just to address one more question about the surveys, the surveys were not only done in the yoga class, they were done in the clinics. Dr. Raj serves, in the Way County area. Mr. Gopal, he did this in his HP company through his co-workers, all people from all walks of life, not just people who believe or know about yoga or meditation or mindfulness. So there has been a variety of efforts being made to gather information, because the true thing is this: without that true information, we will not have an understanding of what the community really needs. And the idea is, when you talk to people, it's an interesting concept. It is something that everybody believes there's a need for. How do you bring to education? And that is what this group is trying to do. Bring this to a school system from kindergarten onwards, where children know, if I'm feeling something, let me take a 1-minute breathing break, let me reset and come back to myself. That's the whole concept behind what we're trying to do. So I think what the questions you're asking are wonderful. I mean, I enjoy these questions because I'm in a school setting myself. I understand every bit of what you're trying to say and ask. And we have a model right now with Sally B's support. We've got great people. We have been always helped as a school. And Dr. Bird's letter over here says the same thing. We have been helped. Not a single school that we wanted to visit has ever denied us an opportunity. And we want to do the same for a new school that wants to come up and serve the children with an out-of-box thinking and bring something new to the world of education. That's the idea, serving our kids with a new approach. Any follow-up questions?
Are there any further questions before we start our deliberation? Okay, thank you, Nalanda. Okay, so what are you guys thinking?
Cheryl, there's a 5-minute closing statement.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Believing that every student has the ability to achieve greatness is whether they set, in whatever they set their minds to, must be fundamental in any educational institution. At Nalanda, what we've done is we've identified 3 focus areas in addition to rigorous academic program that will provide students with skills and a mindset to achieve this greatness. We have gathered together a diverse yet highly qualified board that shares this vision of greatness in children, and together we will ensure that Nalanda provides excellent academic program described in our application. We all understand the mental health issues that is showing its ugly face everywhere in our schools, in our society. I'm the principal of a private Christian school in High Point, and I see it every day with my own kids too. And so as Nalanda, what we're offering is, as Sandeep was mentioning there, it's a proactive approach to help our students. Because many of them, the things that they're facing as young children is something that adults sometimes struggle with. And if we can give them the tools to help them kind of navigate these difficult situations in a school setting, imagine the possibility that it has in taking it beyond the classroom, taking it to their own personal lives and the challenges and everything that they face on a daily basis. So mindfulness is key in helping not just the kids that ultimately will attend Nalanda Academy, but society as a whole. And I believe that as with any great thing that may start off small, when people see the value in something like that, they will follow it wholeheartedly, believing in that the difference that it makes in their lives and in the lives of the people around them. As we've mentioned, we have our academic program is going to be as rigorous as any school. We want to be one of those charter schools that make the A list, A+ list. As Sandeep also mentioned, when we were at Sally B, we would visit Eric's school and see the great things that he has achieved, because we wanted to bring it back to our school so that we can replicate it. The same with Nalanda. We want to replicate the success of schools in our state of North Carolina, or even across this nation, and bring to our kids not just the mindfulness aspects to help them navigate life, but also the academics that will ultimately give them the choice to go, whether they want to choose a career or a college. We want our kids to walk away from our school, going to high school, wherever, to say that I have options. And that's our goal, to prepare our students. As our mission statement says, we want to educate children to become human beings of the highest caliber with a lifelong passion to learn, a compassion to serve, and a knowledge to lead in every aspect of life. And we'll do whatever it needs to. We'll use our state assessment, classroom assessments, NWEA map data. We'll take that data, we'll evaluate it, whether a kid is performing below grade level or above grade level. We have a small group instruction planned into our daily schedule, and we will use this to meet the needs of our students so that they can grow and ultimately have that opportunity. All of us are from foreign countries, and the reason we are here today, I'm from South Africa, and the reason we are here is because of education. So we see the value in education. And so we want to bring that to our children through our school and give them the opportunity to do exactly what we have been given the opportunity to do. And our goal at Nalanda is very similar to the overall goal of all these charter schools. It is to provide students with a world-class educational experience that goes beyond meeting standards and being proficient on state assessments. We want to open up a world of possibilities for all our students. And so I hope that you see our vision, our dream, and the possibilities that it have. And we just want to thank you for the opportunity that you have given us to share our vision with you. And we also want to thank you for your consideration for Nalanda Academy. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, what are people thinking?
I'm in a different place than I was, I think, in the first round. I answered lots of the questions I had. In fact, thinking of this whole thing of mindfulness, it really, I felt like it was overwhelming the academics of the school. And then I had time to reflect on coming out of this COVID pandemic. We've actually had trainings like this with on our own staff. We didn't call it mindfulness, but breathing exercises you can do in classroom before taking tests, turning off the lights and just being quiet for a moment before you deal with a situation. So I see it more now of an integration. I would imagine that when they say they want to use multiple languages, that would mean they use things like North Carolina Virtual Public School or something like that to help in aiding that, not hiring a staff member for every foreign language that they want to teach. So I'm in a different place and plus it's one of those things where I was just sitting here thinking charter schools are sometimes those things that make you want to scratch your head, like, how are they going to do that, right? I mean, what does that really look like? And I don't understand it like they explain it, and they're very passionate about it. So I don't know, I feel a little bit more positive about the situation than I did last time.
Yeah, and I would tend to agree as well. I feel like one of the things that charter schools are here for is for innovation, and we're also here for academics, but also for socio-emotional learning. And I feel like that this concept really kind of brings those two together in a way that we haven't seen before. And yeah, I'm kind of excited about this concept of bringing the mindfulness along with the education piece. And I have seen we talk about it all the time, how we need that mindfulness more than just go, and kind of taking a step back and focusing on whether it's breathing or meditation, that kind of thing.
Well, I must
I'm going to go ahead.
Summary, and I was just listening and thinking, if only the application had exuded that type of vision and mission and wanting to be different and the kids to experience something different, but the writing didn't, to me, exude what the gentleman summarized. And it is different. It is different. And we will definitely have to monitor the academics, because after all, it is school, and we have to make sure we pay attention to that. But the way he summarized, I could see it differently. How I vote, I don't know yet. Just expressing my opinion at the moment. Thank you.
Ms. Racky, can you remind us how many charter schools are in the vicinity that they're proposing to be in?
So it looks like there are about 3. We've got TMSA, there's Sterling Montessori, and there's Cardinal Charter within that 6-mile radius.
Mm-hmm.
And there's Ideal Charter, I think.
I kind of am thinking, I'm feeling better about it than I did last time for sure. None of us know whether or not this will really work. I mean, it's a theory, and we don't know for sure it'll work. But if it does, it would be huge. It's not going to be a very big school, and so I think they're starting with 146 kids. My concern is really around them being diligent about outreach. I'm concerned that when they put this out there, people who already understand it will flock to it. They'll make their numbers, but they'll end up with a population that is very homogeneous. And so, but if you look at things like kids with ADD, kids with ADHD, that could really benefit from this if it works, that crosses everybody, all demographics. And so I would really encourage them to be diligent about making sure that people who don't already know about this are educated so that they can see it as a viable choice, particularly if it works.
I think I could have gone either way, and then Sandeep spoke, and he sold me on the school. It was as simple as that, and they may be pushing the envelope a little bit, but that's what we expect our charters to do. So I thank you for that.
Yeah, I think, I think that's exactly, I like the way you ended that there. If you go to Sally B, which I've been to a few times and been fortunate enough to interact with their staff, it's a different mixture. It's a different way of thinking. It's a different way of doing school, and I think Sandeep is expressing that this is similar. I like that there is at least an informal partnership, because I think the idea of recruiting kids, recruiting the right leader, and recruiting staff is not something that a new board can just simply do. They're going to need some support and some guidance from a school that's been doing it for a long time, such as Sally B. It is very specific, and you have to market in a very specific way, recruit in a very specific way if you're going to have that vision come out. Even if you look at the qualifications for the leader on the charter, it's very cookie cutter. And I don't think they're going to be able to do that. I think you're going to have to get people who have some talents and specialty before they come in order to make sure the mission's actually going to happen. Otherwise, the board is literally going to have to run the school to make sure it happens, because somebody has to come in with the understanding of what they're trying to have during the school day. That said, I think you got a hard-working board, you got a school that you're supported with, and you got some people on the board who've done it before. And so, to the point that was made, I would be in support of the school.
I'll echo Cheryl's comments. I think, and you probably gathered from my line of questioning today and from last month, I think doing the work to make sure that you're doing outreach to a heterogeneous population is really important, especially given your numbers really are low in this first years. I feel better about understanding the academics and kind of how mindfulness is woven into your planned academic programming today than I felt last month. But I think if we see you again, before that's what the Ready to Open year's for. So use that Ready to Open year to make sure that you're doing that outreach.
Any other comments? Are we ready for a motion?
I'm willing to make the motion.
Okay.
That.
I'm going to pronounce the name wrong. Nalanda. That we move Nalanda to ready to open status.
I'll second that.
Been properly moved and seconded. Any discussion? Okay, Ashley.
Terry Stoops,
Aye.
John Eldridge,
Aye.
Bruce Brand,
Aye.
Lynn Kroger,
Aye.
Hilda Parlay,
Approves.
Shelley Bullard,
Aye.
Cheryl Turner,
Aye.
Todd Godby,
Aye.
Eric Sanchez.
Aye.
All right. You guys are moving forward. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Now make us proud.
There you go.
I want to say one thing. I think the concern about reaching out all sections of our society is a very valid concern. We've had a lot of discussions on our board about that, and we'll be failing ourselves as a school, as a public school, if we do not reach all sections of our society. So we'll make greatest efforts to make sure we reach everybody, educate them. Whoever then chooses is their choice as a charter school to come to us or not, but we will not leave any stone unturned before we reach every part of our society. That's been a discussion, and I greatly appreciate you bringing that concern multiple times. That will keep us accountable. We are keeping ourselves accountable. That's key for any public school. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Sandeep. And I hope this works, because if it works, there's a need, and the rest of us need to figure out how to incorporate it in what we do.
Thank you all for
We'll be watching.
Okay, go big there.
Yes, well, we have, let's see, they're up at 11:10. I believe most of these board members are going to be participating online, but I don't see them on yet. Do we want to take a quick break?
Yeah, so, okay, 11:10, so then they needed to have be here by, was that 10:50?
Yeah, about
Yeah.
10:40, yeah.
Okay, so let's take a break until 10:50.
Okay, 10:50, we will resume.
Thank you.
Okay, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead, Melanie.
So Great Opportunities and Boundless Innovation for Girls, Go Big for short, is our second STEM school that we will hear from this morning. We first heard from Go Big in December. Questions were sent out by CSAB. The board of Go Big has provided responses to those. There were particular questions around their some of their budget line items, some of their academic focus, and then particularly their data specific to the LEA for female performances in STEM. And so the board has provided responses to those. They've disaggregated specifically to West Charlotte and the Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools in terms of female performances in math and science. So that was loaded to eBoard. All of that is available. But just to recap, Go Big proposed for open in Mecklenburg County in zip code 28217, so the Western Charlotte quadrant. In year one, they will service grades K2 with 300 students, rounding out in year 5, serving grades K through 6. At capacity, Go Big will be, and again, this was updated, but at capacity, they will be a K-8 school beyond that year 5 mark. Go Big will utilize the National School Lunch Program and the School Breakfast Program. They will provide bus services and other coordinated modes of transportation for their student body. They will use a weighted lottery. Again, they don't have the facility, but that zip code is there for you. There was not an LEA impact statement provided. They are a repeat applicant. We did hear from Go Big in our 2020 cycle. They will not use an EMO or CMO, although they did have application assistance through consultancy. And the application was deemed complete at the time of submission with the Office of Charter Schools. The board is here in person, and then we have representation online. Ms. Cheryl Howard is online, the board chair of Go Big. You all will be allowed, and I know Ms. Howard, you're on, you will be allowed 5 minutes to make your opening statement. And just to kind of recap, obviously at the end of the interview today, the recommendations are to advance to SBE for approval or denial. I'm going to turn the floor over. We can look at the heat map really quickly though before we do that. 6 mile radius here of the 28217 area code. There are some charter schools within that radius, about 24 schools. We've got Unity Classical there. There's various other charters that we have. Let's see, Still Creek is in the area, and then you can actually see the LEA schools there. I'll turn the floor over. I'll allow Ms. Cheryl Howard to make that opening statement, and then we have Ms. Crystal Pemberton Howe and Ms. Erin Howe here also. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning to everyone in person and those listening online. We appreciate and are grateful for the opportunity to come before you again to discuss the urgent need for great opportunities and boundless innovations for girls, affectionately known as Go Big, for educationally and economically disadvantaged females in our target area of West Charlotte. I am Cheryl Howard, the board chair, and we are excited to give you an update on our continued progress.
Thank you very much, Sherelle. It's always a pleasure to be here before you. I can tell by the temperature in the room that lots of thinking has been going on. It's very hot in here, so good thoughts coming out. We took the time, and we thank you for allowing us to share this with you, to compose a quick presentation with some of the highlights that we have prepared to discuss with you in response to your questions and some of the concerns that you had, and we're really excited about our progress. So as you know, we started off with the in-person canvassing. In our initial year, we were able to garner 300 plus signatures from community members in the West Charlotte community. Since then, we have held several in-person events, and we are excited to say that we have an enrollment interest list comprised of 135 students that are eligible for our school. We have provided some of those names to you as updated at the time of our submission of the responses, and have since had additional events which have brought us to this wonderful number. So we're really excited about the interest and the families that are looking forward to this opportunity for their girls. We are also excited to share that we've had educators indicate interest in working for Go Big. So we attempted to provide, at the time we had 7 resumes that were received. We're now up to 10, and they include educators with STEM backgrounds and also EC backgrounds, as well as I think majority, if not all, certified teachers. So that's something that we're really excited to report on. We also wanted to, again, highlight the need for this school in our target area. So one visual that we wanted to share is this one, which is highlighting the percentage of students, female students at a disadvantage with regard to science in our West Charlotte area, particularly with schools with high percentages of economically disadvantaged students. What we noticed when we looked at the data from the general NCDPI report card database is that the data are not disaggregated, and so we spent a lot of time really disaggregating the data, but even before the data were disaggregated, we looked just based on the percentage of economic advantage and disadvantage, and so this was a really stark noticing that there is a significant disadvantage for females in science in the schools with high economic disadvantage. And the next slide, the statistics are even more stark with regard to math in those same areas. So you can see, again, females are at the greater disadvantage in these schools. And so it serves to show that there are populations of students, female students, that are being overlooked and underserved by the current offerings of the LEA. Here we wanted to present a more broken down visual comparing the progress based on Science EOC disaggregated data for Black females, Latinx females, white females, and white males. And so as we see, when the statistics show that there is parity, gender parity, and that we're reaching gender parity, really there's a cross-section of the most vulnerable female populations that do not experience that same success. And they are our target demographic with our weighted lottery, the economically and educationally disadvantaged female students. Again, we wanted to point out sometimes the gaps we found were as great as 3 times as much as their white female peers when it came to their college and career readiness performance. And so this is the data for math, and you can see the stark disadvantage for these vulnerable female groups. And so we are here, again, advocating for this incredible opportunity for all girls, STEM success for all girls. The pillars of our program, as aligned with our mission, serve the needs. Research shows that what we are offering will serve the needs of the girls that have been overlooked and underserved by what has been provided to them so far. So we're excited to continue this discourse with you, and hope that you will also see the vision, see the need, and approve this opportunity for them. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll have 25 minutes of our own deliberation where we'll have questions for you to potentially respond to. So let's start with, amongst CSAB members, any responses or new questions that you have based upon their answers to the round 2 questions that they were submitted.
I have none.
No. In keeping in mind, Ms. Turner's on recused herself, so she'll not be speaking here.
They were very thorough, I thought, with the explanations of the questions that we proposed.
Yeah, I thought the answers to the questions were very thorough, but I still have the same concerns that I had in December, just with the extended day and just the initiatives that they have as far as professional development training that's gonna be needed. And, just, I didn't feel like even though the questions were very well thought out, the answers are very well thought out, I didn't feel it still addressed some of the concerns that I had previously.
Yeah, I'm still concerned about the extended calendar, extended school day, and what the toll that takes on a staff. The 7:15 to 4:50 school day. It's a long day. And yeah.
We're seeing so much more burnout now, too, with COVID, with teachers and staff. I think that long of a day is very daunting.
Hopefully by the time they open, it will not exist.
Say that again?
Hopefully by the time they open, they accept it.
Yeah.
That will not be the issue.
True. However, that's still a really long day, and for the salary.
Yes.
I mean, I commend them for trying to find ways to be competitive in their salary for those teachers, but
We had that same conversation last month with the school who had the similar time frame. Do you all remember that? Yeah. And
Yes.
very similar. Teachers got to wake up probably around 5:15, 5:30 to start hitting these, and then they don't get home yet.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah.
Especially if they have kids of their own.
Exactly, and how do they get to school and all that. I know this is a little nitpicking, but I just have can I ask them a question?
Sure.
Okay, so one of the questions I have is just, and if you answer this some other time, I apologize, but it says that you're mostly going to take from Charlotte-Mecklenburg, but you're going to try to get some from Union County.
Yes.
Can we put the map back up? Is there a reason why you wouldn't be targeting Gaston as well in that, or is there? I'm just wondering why specifically Union County and not Gaston County, which seems to be closer to where your school is.
Yes, no, that's a great question. And so we wouldn't necessarily not target Gaston County as well. We did talk about that as a board, and we are interested in doing outreach and recruiting from that area. We worked with Charter Success Partners, and they partner with approximately, I think, 40 schools at this point, and so we really relied on their experience and insight to inform the areas from which we felt we would primarily pull, so that we could give an honest and sort of fair reflection of where we're anticipating pulling our primary population. So Charlotte-Mecklenburg primarily, Union County, but then Union County, and then definitely Gaston as well.
Has there been any updates since we were together last about the facility? And where you
Yes.
progress on that?
Yes. So again, we are still going strong with American Charter Development. They are 100% behind us in terms of building. That is our primary goal, and our primary desire is to build a school. However, we are excited as well because we still have the partnership with the church, and in fact, one of the events that we held in person was directly across the street from that contingency location at the Child Care Network, and that is where we receive the majority of our interest in enrollment.
Would you like to respond to address our concerns about, or I shouldn't generalize, my concern about the long teacher day? And
Yes.
it being, and I'm actually asking this question less about salary, because
Yes.
there comes a point where even extra money doesn't make the day shorter.
Yes, I completely understand, and I value that question. The work of teachers, I teach currently, our board is comprised of teachers and educators with histories in education. This is my, as I said before, almost 20th year teaching. Clearly, I started when I was -2. And so I've taught at schools where I've started at 6:30, 6:45, had to be there, didn't leave until 5:30, and was there the longest. I've worked at boarding schools. paid the least. And they have been the schools that have inspired me to do what I'm doing because I was surrounded by passionate educators. I've worked at schools even here that have paid more than I've made and have left because I wasn't being challenged intellectually. I wasn't being valued as a professional. I didn't ultimately believe that they had kids and families at the heart of their mission. And I think it's a testament to what we're proposing and the need that we have not yet opened. And we have already educators asking, emailing, requesting to work at our school because they understand the need, they agree with the program, they understand what we're bringing.
Can I ask?
Yeah, by all means.
Can you expand a little bit on the perceived kind of, I understand the STEM and like where you guys go and the need, an underserved population, you know, a lot of the things you said, and I think it's great. When you get into your curriculum as it is directly pertains to women, to girls, what are you perceiving as the social emotional needs? What kind of excuse me, gender specific curriculum are you going to have? And then how does that inform staffing?
I think that's a wonderful question, and that is the crux of the research that I'm currently doing in the doctoral program that I'm in. And so there is no, I can honestly say there is no gender-specific curricula or curriculum that exists. You know, curricula are made to target, you know, based on learning needs, based on interest, student interest. However, there are models that work for educating girls in STEM, research shows, and one of those is single-sex STEM education. Because in co-ed environments, girls face, they face ability bias, they face gender stereotypes, they face low self-concept, which affects in turn their math task value, and it can hinder their performance, their achievement. And so creating an environment with this cohort-based model that affirms girls as scientists, as technologists, as engineers, as mathematicians, sets them up for an increased math and science self-concept, which research then shows increases their task value and also leads to higher achievement in STEM and ultimately a greater lifelong earning potential and an impact on their community. And as we know, educate a girl, change the world. It's not just a cliche. it's true.
Can I follow? So I understand it from a content standpoint.
Yes.
And I am not as don't have the depth you have of the research that you just spoke about, but I've seen some of it, you know, with regard to STEM and women in the field and people of color in the field and so forth. But I'm thinking outside of that. You know, we had a male gender group came up and we talked about just boys and the bent up energy of boys and tons of and like some of the things they would need to do to adhere to that gender and raising boys into young men type of thing as well. I'm talking outside the normal curriculum, outside tested subjects, outside STEM, all of that, as it just strictly pertains to developing, to having a group of one gender in a room and what you are already perceiving or anticipating as some of the social emotional issues you'll be responding to, and then just some of the, even just the ways you're thinking of how you're developing young ladies in your school. What does that look like?
Again, a great question. So as a graduate of an all-girls high school, I'm a fierce advocate for all-girls education. We also have another member of our board that graduated from an all-girls school, same school, different generations, but best experience of my life, lifelong friends, confidence in a way that, I mean, and this is data, again, that we've seen it on the website for the National Coalition for All Girls Schools, but it builds confidence. Graduates of girls' schools, we feel, I will say, empowered to take on spaces that are mostly male-dominated and stand tall and hold our heads high and speak because because we've been spoken into. And that's what we plan to do for our girls. We want them to know that the sky is the limit, even in a field where they have historically been marginalized. There will be nothing that is impossible for them because they have their sisters around them. Concretely, that will work with the cohorts, which we're really excited about. One of the teachers that applied is really passionate about helping to create the cohorts. Ideas for names have come up, you know, the House of Science, the House of Technology, and belonging to these houses and knowing that you have girls, and just to take it, just to step outside of, you know, the research and sort of the technical aspects of it. Our girls look on TV and they don't see many females uplifting one another. They don't see us portrayed as being sisterly, and it's very catty and it's very expected, and it's unfortunate because they are more. They're so much more. And so we are excited, we are passionate about this opportunity, we are passionate about helping them discover and uncover all that they have inside. Thank you.
We have a few more minutes left. Any other questions from CSAB members? Okay, hearing none, we'll give you 5 minutes for a closing statement.
Absolutely. To start us off, I'd like to call our resident lawyer, resident attorney, Ladija.
Good morning. Again, I'm Ladija Matthews, and I will start our closing, but Crystal really brings the thunder, so I'm going to turn it back and ping pong it back to her. In closing, we again would like to express our gratitude to CSAB for the opportunity to come before you again to share our vision for Go Big. We appreciate your feedback and do not take it lightly. In response to our initial interview and application submission, CSAB expressed 4 limited areas of concern and asked us to come back and fine-tune those specific areas. CSAB has expressed, or excuse me, not CSAB, our board has addressed those, and I will briefly tell you about some of the things that we did, which Crystal talked about today, and you all have the materials that we submitted in response to those 4 concerns. So with regard to enrollment interests, we told you about our ongoing recruitment initiatives and how they led to a significant increase in the number of students eligible and interested in possible enrollment. With regard to evidence of need in our target area, we shared that upon a closer review of the disaggregated data, female students of underrepresented ethnic and racial groups consistently underperform their peers in math and science throughout schools in our target area. After demonstrating the needs of our program, we have provided more information about how Go Big is eager, willing, and prepared to meet them. With regard to educator appeal and compensations, we explained all that we will do to ensure that our educators are valued and supported, including a competitive salary, and the fact that this school's model is based off of a boarding school model and inspired by a boarding school model. Has been done across the country, and there are educators willing to commit to that vision. Finally, with regard to a STEM-aligned budget and program, we discussed how our mission to provide an immersive STEM-based education is contemplated and supported by our budget. I'll turn it back over to Crystal at this time.
Thank you, Ladija. And so I'd like to close by saying, and you know I love quotes, so I bring one to you today. Investing in girls' education, as our former First Lady Michelle Obama once said, is the very best thing we can do, not just for our daughters and granddaughters, but for their families, their communities, and their countries. And so in alignment with Go Big's vision, we believe that all girls deserve equitable access to a high-quality education. Yet, as the disaggregated data have shown, this vision is not yet a reality for all Charlotte's girls. within our great state and throughout this noble nation, no girl's race, gender, economic status, or zip code should determine the quality of education that they receive. As a board, we stand before you today speaking not only for ourselves, but on behalf of all Charlotte's girls whose potential has been stifled by inequitable STEM educational opportunities. And we beseech you to allow these historical injustices to be overturned. Let our state lead. We are dedicated to supporting the right of all Charlotte's girls to be fairly educated and afforded equality of opportunity. We guarantee that you will not find a more passionate, more relentless, and more committed board for this task. We are devoted to the success of our mission, our students, and our school. Thank you.
Thank you. We have 10 minutes of our own deliberation at this time. You don't have to stand there if you don't. We probably won't have. We might have questions for you. We'll call you up, but thoughts.
Well, she says she likes quotes and cliches. As the old one goes, go big or go home, and I think they're ready.
So I'll kind of what's on my mind is that I don't question the devotion and the passion of the board at all. I think that that's very clear each time that they've come before us. I'm still concerned about just the daily operations, just the long day, the toll that will take on staff, dare say students as well. And we didn't really get into the budget too much. I still have some questions in the budget around lunch and maybe some other areas, but I'll say I'm sitting here, I'm a little torn. I'm reminded of this morning's interviews where I can readily admit that I, don't have the experience in running an all-girls school. I can't speak to the unique challenges that females face, obviously, in any community, let alone this community. And schools charters are meant to be innovative. So I'm really torn on this.
Yeah, I guess from where I'm coming from, I feel like it's a very strong board and they're definitely committed. But I do have some reservations along the lines of the budget and just the amount of professional development and just the long extended day. And yes, I get there's a lot of us that are very committed and that willing to put in the hours, but there's a big difference between willing to put in the hours and being required to put in those type of hours. And that's kind of where I'm at with
And I don't I can't get a mastery of the schedule of how that day flows. I wonder how much of an opportunity there will be for adjustments because of the perception of the way things may look before we open up the doors, and then we get the students in there and we know what the targeted interventions need to be. And I just wonder if some of the stuff that's in there that is required, as you said, is required, after you get data and you see results and you know how to address or you have an idea about what you want to address, being targeted with that time as opposed to being every single day. Like, so the thing about a year-round school where they take those 3 weeks off, and in those 3 weeks there's time for interventions or acceleration or whatever, instead of it being built into every day. Because I'm just sitting there trying to think of a first grade student in a 9-hour day. We send them home sleeping already, and a 6.5 hour day, so not that they won't rise to those expectations, but I just wonder if every day there's that much need for an extended day as opposed to being targeted with what you're trying to accomplish for the kids. It's a long day. I'm not going to speak for who they hire or what that will end up looking like, but that just seems like a lot for for 1,025 hours or 185 days in a year. That's a long year.
I think there's a lot to figure out. I think the school we just approved has a lot to figure out, and that's kind of what we're betting on here is, do you have a board that will figure it out? On paper, things say one thing, and then to your point about once you start, the reality starts painting a different picture. I would think if they did get started, I think that the question I asked, specific to social emotional growth and whatnot, and the concrete things they're going to do, will have more depth than the answer I just received, but the experience will be that teacher. I think the board, the passion, the need is real, and I guess I'm willing to make that bet today. To support.
And like Mr. Sanchez, I keep going back to the need. It's just, the need is enormous, and I trust this board to be able to address that need. So I'm with Mr. Sanchez on this.
Other thoughts or comments?
I agree with what was said earlier. I still hold concern about the length of the day, but as was said, going back to the need, and I would just hope that the board would just continue to look at that and consider that. But the need is definitely there, and the passion of the board is definitely there.
So as a reminder, this vote is to move them forward to the state board. They may have their own questions. Do I have anyone willing to make a motion?
Yes, I move that we Go Big to be recommended to the State Board of Education for Ready to Open.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. Ashley, want to do roll call vote?
All right, Terry Stoops,
Aye.
John Eldridge,
Aye.
Bruce Friend,
Aye.
Lynn Kroger,
Aye.
Hilda Parlay,
Approves.
Shelley Bullard,
Aye.
Cheryl Turner. Oh, sorry, you're recused. Todd Godby,
Aye.
Eric Sanchez.
Aye.
All right, you are moving forward, and our office will be in touch with next steps.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
So we breaking for lunch now? Is that the plan?
That's great.
Yes. We have a lunch break. Let's see if lunch is there, yes, we have a lunch break till 1. So do we maybe want to do, when Dave gets back in, do director's updates really quick?
Sure.
So we don't have to do
Oh,
this
yeah,
at the
that
end
would
of
be
the
a
day.
good
Well, I say that Cheryl, is that all right with you?
Well, I can hear, I'm not really sure what we're deciding. Are we waiting for lunch or what's happening?
Way before time schedule.
We're gonna
I'm
see
sorry.
if Dave wants to do his director's updates.
Oh, that's fine. And
right
so
now,
then we would adjourn directly after closed session?
Yeah, and then we could go right out of closed session, yep, at the end of the day.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay.
Do it right now.
As far as State Board of Ed updates, last week, they did approve Cardinal Charter's Window Falls enrollment increase, Kip Durham's enrollment increase and grade expansion. Teller's enrollment and grade expansion, and also your recommendation not to allow United Communities' request for grade and enrollment expansion. And they did approve Lake Lord Classical Academy's request to amend their mission statement. They did discuss Unity Classical's enrollment request, and also we presented our renewal recommendations to them, and there's a few questions about your recommendations, and they will vote on that at the next, in March. As far as OCS updates, I'm not sure if you guys have heard terrible news that Dr. Cooper is leaving our office at the end of February. And I'm very appreciative that Claire Porter will lead the renewals and the RTO sessions until we bring another person on board. Ready to open planning year. Had the last session in January, and now our team is reviewing the RTO submissions, and we will have New Leaders Institute in June. We just had our quarterly charter compliance meeting. That's something we do every quarter with all the different divisions in the agency, and I want to thank Ashley for organizing that extremely well, stepping up the rigor just a little bit, and I attended one bond finance hearing for American Renaissance. That's it. Any questions?
I do.
Dad, were there any concerns that came out of that compliance hearing?
Yes, and we have a report that we will, from that, and we will send it to CSAB. And we're still internally discussing how we will communicate that to CSAB and the state board.
Okay, thanks.
No concerns that you're probably not already aware of, but we will start sending CSAB the minutes of those meetings so you can stay abreast of what's going on.
Okay, thanks.
Were there specifics about certain renewals, or all of them in June?
What was the question about?
The renewals, you said that SBE had some questions about it.
There was a few questions on the 3-year renewal recommendations when the charter school was performing greater than 10 or 12 points below the LEA.
And Dave, I'm online if you would like for me to answer any questions about that.
Sure.
Oh, great.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Dave.
Oh, do you have questions about the 3-year? I didn't want to stop you in the middle. I just didn't know if you wanted me to answer anything additional.
I haven't heard any specific, but they wanted us, there was a few questions on how we could justify renewing a school even for 3 years if they were performing below the LEA. And our justification for your recommendation was these schools were either could be a C school at the time, or they were meeting or exceeding growth and felt like they were moving the students along. That is a reason for recommending a 3-year and not closing them. You want to expand on that, Coop?
I think you hit the nail on the head. That's pretty much what they had to say. There were 2 schools in particular that would not have met a non-renewal based on our guidelines, but they had questions because the school was showing a negative trajectory. So other than that, yep, everything else was fine. We didn't really get a lot of questions about the report.
So Dave, when did they ask these questions? On Thursday?
No, Wednesday when you were there.
I don't remember them asking any questions. Okay.
Thank you.
I'm not trying to be nitpicky, but I feel like I need to say that they could probably ask the same question inside of school systems as well. The schools have been operating in the 20s and 30s for years, and they're still open and still running the same way. So I mean, it's a great question. And I'm not trying to defend anybody that's 12 to 15 points below an LEA, but at the same time, there's lots of work to be done, and some of those schools aren't being measured or held accountable the same way.
Thank you for that comment.
All right, that's all I had about renewals. Thank you.
All right, so And ask Melanie. Our next, I think our next interview is at 1. So do we want to adjourn until 1, or do we want to try to reconvene until 1, or do we want to come back a little bit earlier and see if they're here?
Why don't we say we'll come back at 12:45 and see if they're there? Because that could get us out of here earlier.
Yeah, that's perfect. All right, so we will see everyone at 12:45.
Good points.